Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. So what you're about to watch is a presentation that I gave at this mastermind. It was this mansion mastermind hosted by one of my good friends. And basically what I'm doing is I'm speaking in a room full of other entrepreneurs, teaching them how to scale the business, how to delegate, and just how to structure their system on how to win. I'm also going to be talking about top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, right? But transparently, Ian, if you're watching this, you should have recorded it a little better. If you guys go watch a few clips on IG, you can see, like, you know, it was a lot going on. Like, it was a very good environment, but I feel like the angle that he recorded at didn't do justice. Nonetheless, I feel like I'm about to give out tons of game, so just stay tuned and watch this full video. I appreciate you guys. We can keep dropping every single week. Let's do it.
I know that's saying. I appreciate him.
No. All right, guys. Yup. We about to go ahead and get into it. Like he said in the very beginning, when me and Blaze first met, we was beefing a little bit over Zoom. And then, you know, kind of transitioned to, you know, like a brotherhood. You know, we went out to Miami together, and then, you know, we just been locked in ever since. And, you know, that was like years ago. But I'm gonna give you guys a quick little backstory. I'm not gonna take too long, but basically how my entrepreneurship journey started. It was whenever I was 19, I joined network marketing. You know, I met a lot of these guys in network marketing when I was like 19, 20. I kind of blew up a little fast. I was making $50,000 a month at that age. And then, you know, just like, you know, any young kid, you know, touching those amounts, I got a little reckless, you know, shopping sprees, flying out girls, Rodeo Drive, you know, all the good stuff. And then I didn't know that I didn't really have skills. I didn't really know how to really build a real business. So that led to me, you know, losing everything, because whenever the company went downhill, I didn't know, like, basically I was making the money, but I didn't know how I was making the money. So, yeah, I just knew how to market the business and sell. So basically what I'm about to be talking to you guys about is the art of scaling at rapid speeds, organic. I'm the type of person, I like to do everything. I like to maximize on every single, you know, lead. I like every lead gen source. Basically, the way I kind of do it, I do it where my cold traffic or my $97 a month, I do a $97 a month credit offer. I do that for my paid traffic. And for my organic traffic, I like to do mid to high ticket, which is like the $497, and I make my affiliates sell the $497, but I make the people that come from ads pay the $97 a month. That's kind of how I do it, and that's how I do low ticket and mid/high ticket. And basically, you know, like I said, I run paid ads. I run DM ads, and basically I have a setter in my ads to convert the leads, because the ticket is so low, it's $97. You don't have to hop on a call for $97. So that's just how I do it. And like the content systems, I'm on omnipresence. I'm on nearly every single social media site. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, you know, YouTube. I recently just got not big on YouTube, but I just got into YouTube heavy. And now I'm starting to get into Facebook a little bit more too. And basically how my content system kind of is right now, I'm more so focused on long form content. And then I have an editor on payroll that I pay $2,000 a month, and then he distributes that into short form content. So that way I'm not doing basically more work. You know, I'm just doing one long form video, and then we cut the clips up and we maximize on both audiences. And, you know, automations and things like that. I also, something else I do for, you know, the mid/high ticket, really more so for the high ticket, for my prices that are $2,500 and above. Basically, I run a tight form. I run basically like a VSL to a type form, and then whenever, based on their answers on the type form, they get sent to like an AI setter, and, you know, it kind of like qualifies them, disqualifies them to get on the booking call. That's kind of how I do it. Now by going into it, so strategic infrastructure, the foundation. So I'm pretty sure all you guys know about Go High Level and things like that. It's like a CRM to keep track of everything. You know, have the intake forms just to track every lead. Because, you know, what you don't track, you cannot scale. And then having the funnel architecture is more so, you know, like just like having like the right VSL. Me personally, I kind of switched it up a little different. A VSL is basically like a video sales letter. And basically, you know, when people click on the page, you know, it's a video of you basically pitching your offer to them. They watching the video, and then they filling out a form and things like that. And more so how I do that is my VSL, it used to be just me sitting down talking, but now you guys probably notice a lot of people are doing more so like the Miro boards now. So where it's like, I'm showing my numbers like live on my VSL, and that's kind of like, that's converting way more than just like, people just talking, because it's like, okay, they can see the proof. Because we are in a trustful recession right now. You guys probably see a million ads, when you get on Instagram, and it's like these people are catching on. So now it's like you got to show the proof and the facts. Then back in teams is, just hiring VAs, hiring employees. Like I said, I pay my editor $2,000 a month. I have a DM setter. I have customer service, I have disputers. So my business runs on full autopilot, to where basically if I wanted to walk away from the business and I want to go on vacation for a month, 2 months, I can do that, and I don't have to look at the business. The only thing that I will have to make sure is getting done is my employees are getting paid. And my ads are running, of course, So that's kind of how I do it with the backend systems. And I run all my operations on Slack. The reason why you want to do it on Slack is because you can make all your employees under one roof, and then they can all communicate amongst each other. That way you don't got to go back and forth like this employee talking to you, this employee talking to you. My employees, they go back and forth with each other. They discuss, between each other. That way I don't got to say shit. I can just look in the chat and I can just read their conversations. Also, another reason why you want to use Go High Level as well is because whenever you are hiring customer services and things like that, whether that's an American, assistant or, a VA, overseas, whenever you use Go High Level, you can see what that person is saying. Because if you have, let's say if you hire an assistant, right, and you don't know what they're saying to your client, you don't know. This person could be telling this client everything. This person could be telling them some bullshit, basically. But if it's on Go High Level, you can view what assistant or what person said what to the client, and you just have full control of that. So that's kind of how I do it. And basically, so I don't really run a VSL or anything for my repair. For my repair is more so DM ads, and then I have a setter closing the deals at $97 a month. And then I have a Telegram channel, right, with over 1,000 people, and that's dedicated to just send me clients. And then I sell, I make my affiliates sell the mid to high ticket for the $497. And then like I pay them 20%. So if they get a sale, let's say for $500, right? They get a sale, they make 100, I make 400, but I didn't have to do nothing. That's just how I run it. Paying for sauce collapses time. So, so a lot of this stuff I did have to pay for. Investing in mentorships is very important, and, different, stages of the business. Different people have different problems. Like, okay, you may be good at one area, you may be good at the information side, but you may need to get better at media buying, or you may need to get better at sales, or you may need to get better at content. So what I always say is, just paying for the information is just, it cuts, the learning curve in half and just shortens the time. So, or you can, always go on YouTube University, but YouTube University comes with that trial and error. It comes with that trial and error. Whenever you just pay for it, it's just right here and right now. And me personally, I just like, like Blaze said, like I like to move fast. Like I'm one of those persons, like I don't really have analysis paralysis. If I have an idea, I take execution. Like right now, this is about to be a YouTube video. This video is dropping tomorrow. So now it's going kind of from that hustler to CEO role, just the mindset. So, with me going hard and things like that, I used to kind of take pride in, working hard. And I used to always think like, damn, that shit gonna make me a lot of money. But then I started to see these people just pass me. Like, damn, like I'm in the gym at 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I'm grinding all day, but my income really isn't growing. Or it's okay, it got off the ground, but it wasn't scaling. But then that's whenever I really started getting into delegation. Then that's whenever I started hiring employees, and that kind of freed up my time. So now more so, I don't really work in the business. I'm more so the brains of the operation, and that allowed me to scale way faster because I was able to hire people who can do that job better than me. Like my setter is she's like a dog, right? And I used to think I was good until, she got in there, and then she just closing it. She just owned it because that's her only job, like I'm over here trying to think of content. I'm over here trying to do this, that, and the third. I'm probably missing messages, or I'm probably not responding at that, at that specific time frame. But whenever you got an employee that's literally at their desk all day, what the IG messages pulled up, it's like the sales is clicking way faster. So that's really just kind of going from the hustler to the CEO, right? Data and analytics, scale only what works. Meaning like, you just got to split test. You just got to split test what works and try a bunch of, different things. Like people come to me and they tell me they like, would this work? Like, by example, let's say ad creatives and things like that, or content structures or content styles. And the best thing is to split test everything. So just split test how you're training an employee, split test how you go about different things, and then you track what works. And then when you find out what works, you just push it. You just go harder. You double down on it, right? That's basically how I would, do it, because that's just gonna save you. It's a system, save yourself time, energy, and money. All right, so next thing we're gonna talk about is content strategy, scaling, just a scaling engine. Volume when it comes to content. I know a lot of people, they want to have, the best quality content. Me too. Like, I want to have the best quality content, but quality content is expensive, and the average individual starting out may not, be able to afford that, right? So what you want to do is you want to push out as much as possible. Just put your face in the camera and just go. It's all about posting. And like Nanoa said, just going. But there's different types of content. Like, I'm about to touch up a little bit about what he talked about. So there's different types of content. There's the lifestyle content, right? That's called top of the funnel content. And then there's the results and the education and the testimonials. The results and the education and testimonials, that's called middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel content. The top of the funnel content is meant to get the eyes, right? It's meant to get the viewers. It's meant to, the lifestyle, the lambs. You definitely want to post all that stuff, right? But then that's whenever you post in the testimonials, that's what's gonna convert them. Right, that's what's gonna convert them. So a lot of people don't know. If you go look up my YouTube right now, I got like 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. But in the past week, I made $36,000 with 1,500 subscribers off of just YouTube, because I'm posting top of the funnel content to get the eyes, right? But then what's converting them is the middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel content. So that's kind of how that works. The results and the testimonials are meant to convert. The lifestyle shit is meant to get eyes, right? It's meant to get the followers. It's meant to get eyes. But of course, as you know, they may not tap in right away. But then that's whenever you start posting credit results and testimonials and things like that, and then that's when they can start hitting you up. But they would have never even knew who you was if you didn't post that top of the funnel content. So now these are just some numbers. This is actually this month, by the way. I don't know, what is this, April 11th? I took this screenshot yesterday. This is cash flow money in. This is basically $60,000 for the month. 11 days in. We got another 9,000 on the way, right? But here is a campaign, right, that I'm running. This is old screenshot transparently, because now this same ad, the numbers are pretty similar, but this now says 11,000 and this now says 20,000, right? But basically, at this time, I had got 4,000 messages from this one ad at a $1.58 cost per result. That means every time somebody texts me, that's like the spin of the ad, right? And I spent $6,000 on this ad at the time. And as you can see, this was a pending payout of $9,000. And I said on this campaign, I spent $6K to make $50,000, and told her that is an 8x return on ad spend. So that's kind of like the importance of like ads, but that's the ad to the low ticket community. I probably wouldn't be converting that same like paid advertisement, because they're going to my DM if I didn't have the organic content already. So that's why you got to post the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel content in that structure. Also too, whenever you're running ads, the client goes from ad to IG back to ad. That's how it goes. So if you're running an ad with no presence on social media, you don't got to have a lot of followers, but you got to have content, right? If you have no content, it's gonna, not saying that it won't work, because if the creative is good enough and the offer is good enough, it can convert, but the cost to acquire a client is gonna be way higher. But if you have that content, it's gonna drop the cost to acquire the client. That's why my ROAS is the way it is, because if you go on my page, you see the lifestyle, you see the testimonials, you see all the shit that people want, And that's basically how I do it. And, the main way I was able to do this, and the main way I'm able to do a lot of this stuff, is delegation, because I'm able to spend most of my time brainstorming and just thinking of what is really pushing the needle forward. I don't really got to do, the shit that my employees should be doing. I don't really, me personally, I don't answer, I don't talk to credit repair clients, transparently, because I have assistants to do that, I don't talk to credit repair clients. Only people I talk to is my mentorship students and like business funded clients, because that's like a higher like LTV. That's a higher like lifetime value. I shouldn't be spending my time, even though I am making a good amount off the repair. I shouldn't be spending my time talking to a person that's paying me $97 a month. I should have employees for that. I should only be paying someone that's paying me 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, XYZ, or talking to high level A players like Blaze, like Nanoa, like Danish, Derek, so on and so forth, right? Because that is what pushes the needle forward, just game planning, things like that. And I honestly think that's the end of this. Your scaling blueprints, next step. Audit your systems, invest in your knowledge, build, test, and scale. And yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all. I ain't gonna lie. But now, do you guys got any questions though before? I feel like mine was a little quick. You guys got any? Go ahead, ask.
So when it comes to the VA hiring employee, would you say it's better to both with the agency or train a VA at a lower rate?
It depends on your skill level. Like, by example, let's say if you don't feel like you're very like you at that point yet, and you need someone that's very trained and know all the ins and outs, I would like hire, by example, let's say someone like Blaze, right? I would hire someone like Blaze who knows the ins and outs of the business, and he can actually place, like he said, he can place a VA in your system, right? That's kind of like how I would do it. But if you do feel like you're skilled, then you can just, go on online jobs.ph and go get your own VA.
With one of your different ads, what have you found to work better, like the simple ads with like very low edits or like crazy?
Honestly, one of my crazier ads is very like simple edits. It's really what I'm really understanding with ads is more so like the offer. It's more so the offer, of course, the background and the creative and things like that, but it's really like the offer and the copy. Like, it's this book you guys can, it's this audio book I really been, getting into. It's called Cash Advertising. Basically, it was explaining the copyright of things can really change the way like someone really buys. By example, they were saying like one company, it was the same product. They tried to copy one. Copywriting is basically just the way something is said, right? They said it one way. One year they got 500 sales. It was the same product. Next year, they said it a different way. They got 9,000 sales. Next year, they got 2,000. Next year, they got 400. And it's just the way things are being said. And, I even be trying to, like I'm getting into it like more and more. Like I even be testing things, like I said, you got to split test everything. I be testing things on my story. I posted some shit the other day where I was like, my students are going to be mad. I was like, my students are going to be mad. I'm giving you guys the money play. It was some shit like that, right? My students are gonna be mad, but I knew that people was gonna read that out. And then whenever I looked at the link clicks, that post had 300 link clicks. So it's really just the way that things are being said. So it's really like the offer, and the way it's being said. The offer, creative offer, copy. All right, you guys got any more questions? Other than that, I appreciate y'all.